What's up, guys? Welcome to another very special episode of Critical Points. This is the second one we're doing of the roundtable with this new format. We got Coco and Turtle Nuggets on the line. Turtle Nuggets' hair looked great. Say what's up, Coco.
What's up, everyone?
All right. So when Turtle Nugget gets back, we'll have him say what's up. Right now, let's go. Oh, there he is. There he is. Say what's up, Nuggets. Oh,
He's deafened.
he's deafened. We lost.
Yeah, I'm good.
There we go. All right, so today's topics, we're going to talk about the new update, the Trello roadmap, tourneys. We're going to talk about is IWL2, Valiance, and then we're going to go into kind of like a rumor mill of things going on in the community. So the first thing let's talk about is the update. And have you guys played on the update? What do you think about the update? And we'll start with Coco on this one.
Yes, well, the update's out. Not too much, just, the anti-cheat, which is very important because a lot of people have been asking for that, making sure to get those hackers away. And at the same time, they released 2 new knives, which is pretty sick, especially the well one. I really like that one. I feel to not make this update empty and, let people down, they added those 2 knives because, if they just throw out an anti-cheat, people aren't going to be too hyped. So they added the 2 new knives, and they're pretty sick. I mean, besides that, touch pressure, I haven't tested that because it's not available for my phone. But, other than that, the update seems pretty good. About hacks, I don't know if they're fully patched because sometimes I've played teams here and there, and they still seem a bit suspicious. So I don't know if the hacks are fully patched or, the hackers are attacking again super quickly. So, but other than that, not too many hackers. It's very rare if you see people who are really sus. But other than that, the update seems pretty good. And yeah.
Okay, let's go to Nuggets. Tyler, Coco and I. Coco and I both are Android, so you have experience with the pressure touch. Tell us about that and your experience, and do you like it? Do you don't like it? Do you think it's good for the game?
I think it's awesome, really. I don't know. I see a lot of people saying it could be OP for iPhone, but I don't think it's OP for iPhone, to be honest. I've been playing with it after a couple weeks now. Even playing on off somewhat. At least I feel like I play some off on somewhat sometimes, just because the only time I'll be on is while I'm streaming some days. And what do you call it? Fuck, sorry. It was kind of tough to one tap for a little while with the touch pressure because you're putting down force and you have to be very quick when you do the one taps with your pressure. But I got good at it now, and that was the only issue I had with it. Now I think it could be OP for phones, but I mean iPad's pretty OP, so
nice.
It's a good mediator, I think.
Okay.
But if Android doesn't have it, it's kind of sucky because But I mean, I also want to touch on the fact that the update definitely didn't do anything with hackers because I'm gonna be live today, so I mean this will be 11 days in a row I've met my schedule, and out of these 11 days, the past 7 I think I found a hacker at least two times during my stream each time. So it's been pretty wild. There's always an operative that's 32-1 or something when I join a deathmatch now.
Okay. Turtle, can you aim your camera down a little bit?
Dude, I don't know if I can because it might turn itself off when I move it.
That's perfect.
When I move it, it's really bad, dude.
It's perfect. That way your chin isn't on the leave call button when I zoom in on you. But anyways, have you guys pulled any of the new knife skins yet?
No, I haven't gotten any knife skins because all the devs are at TwitchCon. All the devs that do community stuff. What do you call that? Jeez. I can't remember the name of it, but I forget Waddy's title, but I know Bobby27 is a content creator, community manager, or something like that, and we're supposed to message her if we need to do a giveaway or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, let's look at the Trello roadmap right now. So we're on 9.2, which is live. If you guys don't know and don't see this, so they've now added months to the updates, so you can kind of get an idea of when things are coming. In 9.3, we have the new store update that they hinted at in the stream. and some other
You're
issues.
going Robody Legacy.
Huh?
Your voice is kind of sounding like robotic right now. I don't know if it's going to carry over to the recording.
Okay. Let me go back. So, anyways, let's just wing it. I'll edit
We're winging it. Don't worry about it. If we got to redo it, we got to redo it.
Yeah. Store update in 9.3. What I'm looking forward to is 9.4, which is possibly coming out in November, which is the party ranked. And let's go into discussion about the party ranked. I think it's going to be cool. What do you guys think about the possibilities of it and maybe how it's going to work? We'll start with Turtle on this one.
I think that I'm going to be carried into Spec Ops first day, and I'm excited for that. I don't think that's party ranks that I think people should be excited for, though. Fringe Chat's going to be there, and I think a lot of people should be hyped for Fringe Chat. Getting, all these guys are going to get really giddy because they have their little COPS best friends, and they can message them to get online or something like that now.
Yeah.
Turn on notifications for the game. That'd be pretty neat. I think that once we get to version 1.0, at like some point in time in the future, we'll really see like this game just straight up take off. It's going to be so much more developed, and they're going to have so much more room to focus on adding cooler aspects to the game than they have right now, because they just have to worry about all these hackers. Their hackers are keeping up with them constantly, so they're doing their best as they with what they can right now. And I think that's one of the sucky things, that if the since the hackers are still in the game, that's why before we started recording, I said, like, I'm not even sure if they're really going to do the October, Halloween thing, because there's still hackers in it. They really got to focus on that,
Yeah, I agree. Coco, your thoughts?
For the party rank, personally, it's going to be a good update. People get to play with each other, friends or clanmates get to rank together. It's really good for content creators, especially, to put out there more content. You can play with friends, you can play with your clan, funny moments, whatever it is. Yeah. It opens a lot of opportunities for content creators, and that's something good for ranked. Other than that, though, like Turtle Nuggets was talking about, just the anti-cheats. They need to focus on that and removing those hackers, because no matter if they release an anti-cheat, they're still hackers, and it kind of sucks, but they need to keep up and try to be ahead of the hackers.
Yeah, you guys mentioned something big is that the once the release date comes out, and obviously the anti-cheat patches, I think if there is anything that's going to be good for the game, it's the full release, because then obviously we get the new maps, we get the new gun skins, possibly new guns, and I think eventually they'll have something set in place to where if you're hacking, it's not even going to matter, because there's going to be a different platform or something for the teams to play on where those people that hack can't even play. Such as like a pro league or something like that. And I do like the fact that you brought up that with the party ranked, it helps content creators, because you can get, say you get Coco, Illshots, Bates, Turtle Nuggets in a party rank, and you guys are out there just doing your thing. Like, that's going to be great content for viewers to watch.
Yeah, for me, anyone who's in my stream, and then for their channels,
Yeah, because it also allows you to interact with your fans as well. Like, if you have fans and you want them to join in a party ranked, you can just be like, hey, let's do this.
Oh, hey, actually, I wanted to touch on something that I guess I need to start doing now, is start to stream to both YouTube and Twitch, because I keep getting notifications. I have notifications on for videos, and it keeps telling me every single time someone subscribes to my YouTube channel now for some reason. And because I did the roundtable, it's like a bunch of people went and found and clicked on my name in the comments and subscribed to me.
Nice.
Now
nice.
I need to start streaming there again, apparently.
Yeah, you should just use restream.io. It'll allow you
to. I have that as well.
Yeah, it'll allow you to do that.
I stopped using it just because the YouTube chat was so toxic for a good while.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the community we live in. That is the community.
But on Twitch, it's so much easier to handle. Because I don't know all the chat commands and stuff like that on YouTube.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's go into tourneys. IWL2. Today's the last day. Today's the 20th, the last day to sign up. Big tournament. The Valiance Autumn Cup also was announced. I like how they quarterly do their tournaments. Should you be more excited if you're a semi-pro team to be in IWL or into Valiance? Well, let's start with Coco on this one.
Personally, I think Valiance, just because of how the qualifiers is worked, and then that shows that when the group stages are out, there's always that one new team or those two new teams, because it always happens. With the qualifiers, it opens doors to more semi-pro teams to actually make it to the group stages, and at that point show their true potential. Whereas IWL, it's a single bracket, and pretty much the top teams that dominate are the ones who are going to make it more towards the bracket. Whereas Valiance, we have that qualifiers that open doors to semi-pro teams and even newer teams whose no one has ever heard.
Right on. Let's go to Turtle.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't know really for a perspective of a semi-pro team, just because I had to wait for how Coco worded his, because I just didn't know what to say for semi-pro teams aspects, to be honest with you. But yeah, if Valiance is going to be opening up the doors for pretty much anybody to try and get into the Autumn Cup, then yeah, I think that semi-pro should be more excited for that. I went ahead and messaged in the Set to Destroy private chat really quickly to see what they would say about which one they were more excited for personally, so we can get a pro aspect as well.
To be honest, they're probably going to say the Valiance one, because it does have the $2,000 prize pool again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of the whole time in the back of my mind as well. It was I bet Valiance has some kind of a good prize pool, however, just because they're I think they have a couple of sponsors, do they not?
Well, I know they're
a couple now,
officially backed by CF, so
definitely being backed by CFs.
And I'm not taking anything away from IWL. I think they have an opportunity to grow and make their streams professional and how they're doing things. So good luck to them. I noticed, I went through their teams. They have almost as much or more teams sign up for their tournament as a usual Valiance Cup. So it'll be interesting to see. They're both going to probably be taking place around the same time. I hope all the teams obviously participate hard in both of them. But Coco, you brought up something good about the group stages, and that's a big thing for any team to get to. Especially when there's 60 plus in each region signing up, to make it to group stages is a big thing.
Don't you love watching group stages too, though? Watching teams fight it out in their group and everything. I just love that. I don't know what it is.
It's true. It adds to the natural drama that builds up in sports.
Yeah, gets to the storyline for the tournament.
Absolutely. Let's go through some predictions. We've talked about it in the past. The dominant teams in most of the regions. I think Coco's right. There is going to be that sneak team that goes into the brackets on one of them, and I think it might be NA this time. There's a lot of teams popping up in NA that I think people should worry about. EU's obviously been a little more solid as far as the rosters go, but I think there's going to be a team like Infinity Forge, perfect example, that could pop up in there. They've been putting in the work. But there's also a lot of newer teams that are coming out. Most Wanted is one of the ones that a lot of people are talking about. Vendetta as well. Vendetta has a lot of roster members from some top-tier teams. And, I think there could be some upsets. If they pair the teams up right and don't give that straight shot for like a Gangstars or a D2R or an Imperial to go straight to the finals, I think that's important, because then you allow the drama to build. Like, if D2R gets knocked out in the second round and doesn't make the group stages by a big team, then that's also great storylines as well. What do you guys think as far as should they do like a seeding process or just a randomly picked thing? Let's start with Turtle on this one.
I think a seeding process, but I don't know how they would want to seed it. I don't know if they should do like I don't know if they would have to do pools just for the seeding, if you know what I mean, like how you play and you're in there, and then after you randomize it for all the people who had this amount of wins and all the people who had this, they have to do some kind of RNG there. But I don't know, to be honest, how they would seed it at this moment. It just depends on how far. Like we're talking about the Valiance, right?
Correct.
All right, yes. So, are we talking about whenever we're at the pro league area, or are we talking about
just in general?
Just in general for the whole thing. I think they should just do an RNG seeding.
Mhm.
It's completely random. I forget the website that everybody used to use for like Call of Duty tournaments, but like just like random online tournaments. And people definitely still use those for COPs.
Oh, like Chalone?
Yeah, exactly. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, that one is. I don't know how you just said that because I cannot remember how the heck it's spelled whenever you call it like that. But I remember I used to go on a couple of them, and I would like just sign up for whatever I could whenever it was a boring night.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Coco on this now.
Personally, I think they should seed off past Valiance tournaments. You know, obviously, we've had seasonal tournaments all year long, from the winter to summer. You know, fall, autumn. I personally feel they should do it that way because there's some teams from back in winter, for example, who still exist. For example, Infinity Forge, we made group stages back in winter. Gangstars obviously has been participating in every single Valiance tournament, and then you know D2R also has been in some. So like, there's some teams that have experience in the Valiance area, and I feel they should seed it off all of our past records, and that way it gives a bit more of a challenge in the qualifiers, and as well as new openings to new teams.
Yeah. Yeah, you brought up a great point. Like, so Valiance does like they reward teams that keep their roster together. But what about the teams that have played since last year's Winners' Cup? I believe we actually lost to you guys, and that's how we kind of met in the Winter Cup. And what about the teams that have been around for that long? I mean, to be honest, there's not that many of them that literally didn't die and come back, you know? So I think that'd be something cool for them to also think about as well. I personally think that the seeding should be there just because it adds that more competitiveness of not only the fact that teams are always going to disagree on what seed they get, but then it also gives the other teams motivation to be like, well, I got to take out the number 1 or number 2 team, or why are they number 2 or 3, kind of thing. I think that naturally adds drama to it because it's just like any playoffs in any sport. You know, you have that because say you have a Infinity Forge seated at number 8 and some unknown team that people just have good players seated at 5, people are going to want to know why, and that also builds drama. So I think that'd be great to see. And then obviously have within the 60-plus teams the different brackets, similar to how like ESL did it in the past. Although, I don't know, ESL brackets were kind of suspect sometimes, I feel like, even though they said it was random. But that's
ESL is always a little bit suspect with their brackets in every game they're in, though.
Yeah,
they would stack half.
Everyone's always like, it's always like suspect in every, like once you get to the major area, like where you're talking about big money, it's always super suspect how brackets look. Like look at Call of Duty, they always have some kind of way for FaZe and Optic to play. They always have like a way so that the teams that are both expected to like go to the finals don't play each other until the finals.
Do you think that's done marketing wise though? Like, I mean.
Yeah. That creates big storylines. Like they're in the finals all the time. Whoever comes from the losers bracket has to win 2 different series. This is going to be a big one, and the casters get to hype it up really hard. And one of the better things about like once it gets to that point, you know, they have those storylines. Like just in terms of like casting, if you watch it, next time you watch a major event for esports, wait for something crazy to happen. The caster will freak out for about 10 seconds, and then they won't say anything for the next 40 seconds because they won't have to. The crowd will be freaking out.
Yep.
And they'll just let it happen. Like as long as one of the teams is a good storyline that people are very, like very close to, or at least hold close to themselves.
Yeah, let's talk about storylines. I think there's some interesting storylines going into the IWL and Valiance for both of them in general, because you have the first tournament with members of GS that were in GS that aren't in GS playing for other teams. You have members from Imperial playing on other teams. Infinity Forge lost members to Pristine, GG. So it's mainly the NA side is having these random storylines, because I think the EU side is they're really set in their rosters, and they're definitely, they built their own storylines based off like the teams that continually play each other. So do you think that the chemistry from these newer these roster changes, literally within the last few weeks, are going to affect those teams? And then GS is, since they have that chemistry already, is just automatically going to qualify for the NA. And let's talk to Coco first on this.
Definitely. For a lot of teams who have had this switch and rosters, for a lot of them, it's going to be a little bit harder to actually play because the chemistry, like you said, it's going to be different. Personally, with Infinity Forge, like you said, we lost a few players to Christine, a few others to IFL. We've had a roster for about 2-3 weeks now, the same players for a while. We've participated in a few tournaments. We got IWL, we got Valiance as well. This gives us time to actually work as a team and get to build up that chemistry during those tournaments, so when actually Valiance hits, we're actually prepared and we can play a lot better than as of a new team who has a completely new roster and hasn't played a tournament together, and this is their first as a new roster. But definitely GS has an upper hand because like you mentioned, they've had the same team for a while. They've been around a lot longer, and honestly, anything can happen. GS might still lose or something, and someone can cause an upset.
Turtle, I'm going to ask you an interesting question for the NA scene. Do you think it would be entertaining and more drama for the community if a GS or D2R or top team, Vendetta, something like that, lost and was out of the tournament? Do you think that would be more exciting?
It depends on who it's lost to. You know what I mean? Like, is this if it's in the NAC, does it have to be an NA team?
Yeah, like because they have to go through NA to get to the.
All right, so, but I'm thinking maybe like if we're talking about like you know how we theorized a pro league last week. I was thinking if NIA came in and beat Gangstars, that would be a cool thing to watch. It'd be a big deal to a lot of people. It'll get talked about a lot by pro players on Twitter or something like that. It would be a pretty big match just because it's NIA versus Gangstars or anyone, the bigger teams from other regions. It would be really cool to see those teams kind of come out on top and just get a win for their region. But in terms of other pro teams in I don't know which team. It would have to be specific teams. You know what I mean? It would have to be a team that everyone actually knows about already. Like say when STDX is beating a top EU team, people are freaking out. They know which players do which things, Exactly. Or whenever Kings is beating any other team, they know what to expect from Kuba or something like that.
Now, why don't you give us some insight on the EU side? Even though you personally aren't EU, you do hang out with a lot of the EU
I end up
members.
Knowing all of them.
Exactly.
So those guys followed me on Twitter first. Sorry, guys.
It's all good. Give us some insight on the EU side, and do you think that the EU side
There's so much drama on the EU side, man? It's so funny.
Is better than NA now, or do you think they still have something to prove?
I think NA is still holding it down for Seops right now. I think EU has to bunker down and get some more wins. I don't know if they really want to be fully respected. But people are gonna make fun of EU Seops till the day they die. Doesn't matter. Like you could see an NA team in CS go become the best thing. They're always gonna say LOL NA CS or something like that in the chat on Twitch. Doesn't matter what's going on.
I agree. I think I agree with you. I would love to see. I'm a huge Nerds and Arm fan. I'd love to see them pull out a victory. They have actually probably one of the biggest fan bases in this game. People just don't realize it.
Because they're South American.
Yeah, and
dude, down there it's so big. The game is so big down there. Like they love Seops in South America.
Yeah, I feel like one of them are literally walking celebrities in that region. So that's definitely something for people to think about. Because I mean. They had their opportunity in the Summer Cup, and I think I'm pretty sure Nerds and Arms going to make it all the way to the semis again for South America, and maybe they'll have something different. I think they did a split and then lost with the coin flip. So maybe if the coin flips on their favor this time, depending on who they play, obviously that playing on your home server is big, is a big deal. Is a definitely a big deal. Um, let's move into the rumors section. For a long time in this community, and it's gone back to um, when Cam and like Omniscience were around, big teams coming into COPS, and that name was being thrown around was SK. And do you think if an SK comes into COPS, does that change the whole atmosphere for the game? Let's start with Coco on this one.
Definitely, any pro major org out there that comes into a small game like Critical Ops that has absolutely no big orgs besides GS. It's fairly big in the mobile scene, but compared to SK, it's nowhere near their size. But definitely, that gives a chance for newer organizations to come in because they see SK in. So most likely, if an org like SK came in, you're going to see a lot of more major orgs come in right after SK, opening more doors for pro players, and then these pro players can start getting paid or building a career within Critical Ops, which would be absolutely dope to see.
Now, do you think that, so SK obviously is EU, but I've seen NA side teams represent EU teams. Do you think that could possibly happen to where, like, say an SK picks up a GS team, or Cloud9, Luminosity, Fnatic, Liquid, do you think they care what the region is, or they're just looking for the best team possible? And we'll go to Nuggets on this one.
I think that any team is always going to be looking for the best team possible, but I think that the main teams are the main two regions that would be scouted for a bigger team, or be NA and EU, obviously. But the only team I could see having a chance of getting scouted in South America, obviously, as we were just talking about, Nerds in Arms, with their giant fan base. That's something that a lot of orgs love to see, is just a dedicated fan base to their players, because that's going to be something that just like really is attractive to them, I guess, because it brings love to their other teams as well. If it's a dedicated fan and they're seeing that the people they love watching play COPS are enjoying being with this team and just like staying with these guys forever, then they're eventually going to check out the other aspects of the team. Inevitably, at least the big fans will, Yeah.
All right, let's do some fun theorizing here. All right, Coco.
I put about 30 of them down, so
if your team was going to get picked up and you still got to be a part of the mobile scene and help develop that, what big org would you want to play under, and why?
What big org? Okay, this is a bit of a hard question here because I love C9, I love G2, and then FaZe as well. But personally, I think I would go with C9 just because it's an organization I've been, I guess, I watch most of their games in a bunch of different games, a bunch of their teams in different games, and it's a team I keep up with. And, a lot of people love Cloud9. And I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of Critical Ops players normally have like Cloud9 pictures, etc. Like they love Cloud9, and I feel Cloud9 would be like the most loved in Critical Ops. Personally, that's what I feel.
They also have very similar colors to you guys.
Yeah, that's true. They're blue. But yeah, I think I would go with Cloud9 just because fan base, and I feel it'd grow a lot more, because of.
But that's pretty much all I have today, unless you guys have any other topics you want to touch on.
I guess. Do you guys think that the teams of COPS today some of those teams will survive if big teams join them?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Will D2R be there?
That's
there's like top 8 of all Astralis C9, all those guys.
I think that just depends, I've talked about this with one of the guys that I'm working with on getting an investment, and he said basically it depends on what they offer. If they offer to buy your team out but also offer you a position still within their company, That's different. Whereas they're just trying to buy your roster. Because I look at that two different ways. One way, if they're just trying to buy my roster, that means we're already on that level. We've been taken notice by a big team. They obviously just want our players. So I wouldn't mind beating that person that wants our players. But if they're willing to offer, salary and management positions like that, and they want us to run that division, then that's a completely different thing. Because then you're also getting, like you guys say, the fans, the support, and the income to do this professionally and full time. That's just my opinion on it. What do you think, Coco?
Well, what Eternal Knowledge just mentioned, are these teams going to survive? It all depends, like you mentioned.
Dramatic topic.
Organizations are offering more to the current teams than what they have now. Teams are going to, join those organizations. Whereas, for example, the VG scene, all these major orgs joined, and then we still see Hammers, we still see Gangstars, the people who were here before all these teams joined. And
I do feel like Hammers and Gangstars are a little bit different. I was going to touch and say that the Gangstars and like the Kings and stuff like that, those guys will still remain in the relevancy. But that's what I feel like I should have worded it differently. Relevancy is what I mean in survival ways. Like they stay in the top 8 and the main topic of discussion. I still expect teams I still expect those main teams we see today to be in the top 16 or something like that. And also because of those bigger teams being in the scene, being able to get better sponsorships and make more money for their own players as well, to be able to offer something at the very least as well. So, I mean, I just think that once those big teams get in, you do usually see them start to really flood the top 8 because they buy out the best rosters.
Yeah, they do buy out the best rosters. Let's think of it this way. What if all the teams that are in the community now, relevant now, decide not to sell, and then the pro teams still go after these other rosters, and the pro teams are getting smashed. Yeah, and they're getting smashed by Infinity Forge and stuff like that. Yeah, what? That would be something that would be never seen. Obviously,
because of the business aspect of it,
the pro teams would leave right away because they're not in the business of losing bad. So, but but that's just an interesting theory to think about. What if we all were no to these guys? I mean, I wouldn't suggest that because we want the community to grow. But that would
get to still if someone let's put a hypothetical for you as a team owner if you got an offer of $250,000, let's just put it like that. $250,000, but you also get to still be on at least I guess I don't know normal salary for a complete managerial side of say you're managing the entire side of COPS for the team though, still you're the head honcho and you have people under you at that point if the team hires to be I guess PR for COPS or something like that, the guys who contact them whether they're acting out on Twitter or something like that and who watch every stream. So would you feel like you would be comfortable getting bought out by a bigger team if you were still given a job? Like you said earlier, it's a whole different situation. Would you feel comfortable with that if you were being rewarded a salary plus that big payout at that point? Or would you feel like if you got to that point, you should keep growing your team yourself so that you can kind of be at the forefront of what those sponsorships are offering?
What do you think, Coco?
Personally, I mean, it depends. It depends, maybe you yourself, your org, you can be successful with your team and earn more money and build up your sponsors and your organizations rather than join that organization and possibly make less money. And, it all depends. It depends on the organization, what they're offering, and do your research, see, am I going to make more? Am I going to make less? Is there any growth? Etc.
I got you on that. I think we're all in agreement that either way, it's better for the community overall if someone does step up to the plate and come in.
Yeah.
And it'll be exciting when it does happen because we won't know what team is either getting picked up or maybe there's they're training players and behind the scenes that we just don't even know about. I mean, SK has a whole building where they have like all their computers set up or the players trained. Who knows if they have like some mobile players that play VG or something like that, or that they want to get into this game, that they're like, every day for 5 hours you got to play Critical Ops, kind of thing.
Well, I do know, like, since we did say how there were rumors that SK might be joining the scene, I do know of a certain player who manages his team who contacted SK and was turned down a while back, like about 2 months ago. That helps people put together a timeline of who this could be, but
Yeah.
The team was turned down for SK that could have possibly been because they're already in talks and they just didn't mention that.
That's true. That is true. Like, that's definitely something that did happen. I think it's just that exposure needs to get there. The LAN needs to be there. The Pro League needs to be there. And I'm not saying that Valiance and them aren't professional leagues. They're definitely majors. But I think a pro league definitely is set up differently, to where that is just the top tier teams playing. There is a season where they play each other multiple times. Because, like I've said in the past, I don't think a best of one proves anything. To me, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't prove anything, and then until you get to like the groups, even in the groups, it's like a best of one. Even though you play multiple games, like if you lose one game, you're pretty much out of the groups. So
like you can have a bad, you can always have a bad match by chance. It's just there's so much left up to chance at that point with the best of one.
Exactly.
It sucks. Especially when you lose the first map, it throws you into something. If you're the better team, it throws you into that mode. Like, oh wait, we know that we should be winning this right now. What are we doing?
And I think that like the season should have like, all right, well, game 1 is played on your turf. Game 2 is home. Home and away, I think makes a big difference. And if they set that up to where, it's equally divided, so it's fair. Like it's eight games, 4 on each turf kind of thing throughout the season for each team kind of thing. I think that makes it more fair because one of those games, one of those teams is going to pull one off somehow from the away game. So because it can happen, we've seen it happen before. So just thoughts for people to think about. And I'm excited to see this community continue to grow. And I think next week we might have some really cool stuff to talk about. So that's pretty much all I have for today. And I'm Legacy saying peace. Coco and Turtle Nuggets say peace.
Later, guys. Have a great one. Stay safe.